We first, of course, got to talk about that preseason coaches poll. Wow. I'm sure you've seen it if you've been following the channel, if you're big on Illini football. But it was on Monday, so about 2 days ago, that the coaches poll was released. They pick a bunch of coaches at random to all give their opinion, and they give their own rankings. It's not as official as the AP poll that we will be getting at the start of next week. But it's all we have right now. It is the first true, ranking, and always a good ranking system to me, at least, as well, to see what these coaches, the people that are actually involved in the world of college football, think about these other teams. So Illinois was shockingly, in my opinion, ranked 12th in the entire country by the coaches poll. I don't know exactly how the point system works, like what votes get what points, but they received 734 points. It is the first time since 2008 that the Illini have been ranked in the coaches poll. And it is the first time they've been top 15 since 1990, where they were also 12th. There's only one time in this program's history that they have been ranked higher in the preseason coaches poll than they are right now. That was in 1985 when they were 10th. That is the highest they've ever been. They are right there. Crazy, crazy stuff. I don't know about you guys, but that really surprised me. The top 5 are Texas. They have 1,606 points. So just for reference, Illinois is very far off from number 1 in terms of points, but 12th. Ohio State then at 1,565 is second. So that's a 1-2 matchup we're going to have the very first weekend. If, of course, the AP poll will have to determine that as well. But even impressive to have now guaranteed the top 2 in the coaches poll will be facing off week 1 right away. So one of them's definitely not going to be top 2 after that. Then we got Penn State at 1,525. Georgia is 4th at 1,466. And then the runners-up Notre Dame at 1,360. Those are the top 5 in the coaches poll. The other Big Ten teams, there were 6 total, including our Illini, that were ranked in the top 10 in this coaches poll. Number 2, Ohio State, and number 3, Penn State, which I already mentioned. But also Oregon was 7th. And then that is it in terms of Big Ten teams that are ahead of Illinois. Michigan is ranked 14th, and Indiana is ranked 19th. So the Illini are considered 4th in the Big Ten right now. Only behind the 3 that that they had really no chance of surpassing. Michigan and Indiana are interesting. Michigan had a down year last year. I mean, they ended up 8-5. They ended the season really well, beating Ohio State and beating Alabama then in the bowl game. But I mean, they've got Bryce Underwood. Like, there's a lot of reason to be excited about Michigan and how they will be much better than they were last year. But I don't think it's crazy to say that Illinois is a better team than Michigan at this point, though, because there's still a lot that's unproven of Michigan and this new coaching staff, And then Indiana at 19, I feel like that's a fair ranking for them as well. I do think that Illinois is a better team on paper than Indiana because of the experience that this team has. And this roster has been together so long. This Indiana team really only came together last year. I've absolutely just talked your guys' ear off about Illinois, Indiana. But I don't think it's crazy to rank the Illini ahead of either of those teams. They weren't going to touch Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, right? They're just not really on that level. But great to see that, though. Ranked ahead of those teams. Also ranked ahead of some big SEC names that I noticed, such as Ole Miss is 15th, Florida is 17th, and Tennessee, I know they've had a lot of changes to their roster, but still coming off a playoff appearance as well. That's a couple playoff teams that they're ranked ahead. of. It's Tennessee as well, but also Boise State is 25th. They're the only Group of 5 conference team to be ranked in that poll. They were a playoff team last year that Illinois is ranked ahead of. You got SMU. I forget exactly where they are because I didn't write this one down, but I want to say they were like maybe like 16th. They were high, but not as high as Illinois. So it's crazy to see all those not only playoff teams that Illinois is ahead of, but also it's pretty hard to ignore the fact that Illinois would be slated for a playoff appearance at number 12. I mean, obviously, it wouldn't actually work out that way because Group of 5 conference teams like Boise State would, if Illinois was 12th, Boise State would actually steal their place, winning the Mountain West, because you need to have one Group of 5 conference winner in there. But yeah, no, 6 teams from the Big Ten. That was the second most of any conference, which is pretty expected. I think the Big 12 had 4 or 5, so the Big 12 isn't too far behind, actually. And the ACC had 3. They had Clemson, Miami, and SMU. I forget they're part of the ACC now. And the SEC had 9, which is just, they're not going to catch up to the SEC, but the Big Ten is dang good this year. And Illinois is supposed to be a big part of why at number 12. And again, wouldn't actually work out that way, but top 12 is pretty crazy. Like, we are no longer just speculating, if they beat up on their schedule, they can make the playoff. Like, these are actual coaches in the game of college football agreeing with that Illinois could make the college football playoff. It really blows my mind. I wonder what the highest they were ranked on anyone's list was, because obviously it's an average, because it's based on all your points. This might be a hot take, but actually, first I wanna just emphasize how it speaks to my point last week that I was making when we were talking about all those preseason awards and watch lists. Go check out my video on that if you did not see last week's episode, or just watch the whole thing. It's episode 22. We talked last week about how the Illini have just gotten a ridiculous amount of media attention for the program. Like, it's just not really unheard of, honestly, in my lifetime as an Illinois fan. I know I'm definitely on the younger side, but it just blows my mind how much media attention that Illinois has gotten. And now it's really, really coming together now that it's poll time. I mean, we'll see what the AP poll has to say next week, but 12th in the coaches poll is pretty damn good. And it just really the last few weeks in particular, Illinois has gotten more media traction than they probably have in the past 5 years combined. Like, teams, the media, coaches, everyone is really hyping up this team. It's not just me, guys. I'm not delusional. Yeah, back in February, I probably sounded delusional when I said that Illinois could make the playoff. But now, doesn't look that way now that we're only a couple weeks from the season starting. We're a little under 4 weeks away from the start of the season. Camp has fully begun. But okay, here's that hot take from before. Sorry I teased y'all. But I actually am not too happy about this. I mean, you as a fan, you want to see your team ranked high, obviously, right? It's great that the media, or rather these coaches, have seen Illinois for what I know, for what we know as fans, what they can be, right? But I do worry that this is really going to fuel Illinois' opponents, especially, like, say they come out and they're actually ranked 12th in the AP poll too, right? So we'll just ignore the fact this is coach's poll for a minute. Let's say Illinois is ranked 12th right out of the gate, which last year, I mean, the highest they got ranked was in the 20s. Maybe they broke 20s. I can't even fully remember, because they definitely weren't ranked anywhere like this last year, right? And you're basically bringing back the same roster, which we know definitely has its advantages, especially in today's wild college football world of players transferring left and right and all of that. But I'm not going to say that this roster hasn't earned that, right? They certainly deserve to be ranked where they are, but I am still surprised. Does that make sense? Like I'm not trying to hate. I really didn't think coaches and media were going to see them the way that we as Illini fans see the potential in this 2025 team. And so I'm pretty shocked, and I'm honestly kind of worried about the implications of Illinois being ranked so high, because I just feel like they're just going to have a target on their back now, right? And it also takes away the ability to work their way up. We all know that they don't have that hard of a schedule this year, right? They have a very Indiana-esque schedule this season, and that's a big reason why teams are really, really on, or teams. Well, that's why these coaches, media, that's why they're really, really on the Illini this year, right? But I just feel like that puts a huge target on their back, especially early in the season with Duke, right? Duke is not in that poll. A lot of teams thought that they might be. A lot of people still think that they will be ranked in the actual AP poll that comes out next week. But Duke is not ranked in the coaches poll. That is official. That is very unlikely to change by week 2 when the Illini go there. So Duke is going to be really hungry for a win in front of their home fans against the Illini, more so than they would have been before. Again, the Illini are definitely the better team. I'm not saying they don't deserve it, but it just kind of feels like a bigger step. I fully believe that the Illini were going to take that step to get to number 12, but I feel like we skipped a few steps, if that makes sense to you guys. Brett Bielema actually agrees with me if you're not having it. He said, quote, "Some people give expectations, and that's great. But for us at Illinois, we have to earn them. We have to have a chip on our left shoulder and our right shoulder. The way we've earned these expectations will be the way we earn success this year." That's from the man's mouth himself. So, I just think that puts a target on their back is really all that does. Instead of being ranked, probably around like 19, 20th, where I kind of thought they were going to be ranked. Yes, Philip, Illinois' schedule is better than Indiana's last year, but there's still not a whole lot of room to move up in their schedule, if you know what I mean. Like winning at Duke, that'll bump you up. Winning, or maybe though, because Duke's not even ranked. Winning at Indiana, boom, that'll bump you up. If they can beat Ohio State, which that game is sold out, by the way. That was the news that broke today. The Ohio State, what did I just say there? The Ohio State game is sold out. So that should be a good one. Like, obviously, you win that, you're going to move up. But outside of that, there aren't really that many opportunities unless there are some surprises in the Big Ten out of like a USC, a Rutgers, a Washington, maybe a Maryland. We'll talk about them in just a moment. But, I just don't see the same potential to really move up. Right? Like, say they lose to Ohio State and they beat everyone else. They'll probably move up a little bit more from 12. They'll probably break the top 10, say, if they have a one-loss season. But you basically have to have a one-loss season to be able to move up, right? And, it's exciting to see your team keep climbing their rankings and climbing their rankings and climbing their rankings throughout the season. There's less energy when you're just beating down on these teams to stay alive, to stay in that position. So I honestly just think, especially Indiana making the playoffs last year and now being ranked 7 spots below Illinois in the preseason coaches poll, that scares me a lot. They're going to be even more hungry for that win now because of that, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. So I'm actually a little worried about this. I never thought I would say this. But I kind of wish or kind of hope that when the AP poll comes out on Monday for the preseason, that Illinois is ranked a little bit lower than that. Like upper teens, probably, is what I'm thinking, just to take a little bit of pressure off this team. This team can certainly handle the pressure. They're one of the oldest rosters in college football. This team has been together for so long. They're going to be able to handle that pressure just fine. I'm not worried about Illinois' perception of this, right? From Bielema's quote, they're very, very focused on, they're not worrying about it too much. They're very, very focused on just getting things done, not worrying about all the noise, because they are getting a lot of noise this year. However, I do worry what more the effect it'll have on their opponents than them, if that makes sense, guys. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts on it. I know that's probably not the most popular opinion within the Illini fan base, but that's just how I'm feeling from the perspective of an Illinois fan. That does worry me a little bit. And yes, Philip, I do think that, yeah, USC or Washington certainly could be sneaky, maybe even Rutgers, maybe even Maryland. Like, could be sneaky. I don't know if they'll be ranked, but they'll definitely some sneaky teams in the Big Ten, right? Illinois' schedule is better than Indiana's. You are correct. I just more so for a comparison. Like, everyone is seeing Illinois as this year's Indiana. So that's just why I keep making that comparison, and also because that's just such a big game for them as well. Like, we're going to find out real quick what this Illini team is made out of between Duke and Indiana, and those opponents are definitely, Indiana for sure is going to have a fire lit under their ass going into this game, if they didn't already. It's just that fire will just burn brighter. But anyway, I've talked about this too long. I can honestly talk about this all day, because I felt like my reaction to it was not what you'd expect, But we'll talk next week about where the Illini are ranked in the actual AP poll. They're definitely going to be ranked. There's no doubt about that. It's really just a question of where. I think they won't be as high, probably somewhere in like 19 to 15 range. It's probably where I think they will be ranked. But yeah, crazy to say, but honestly, I do kind of hope they fall into that range instead of being at number 12, because that just puts an even bigger target on their back than there already is.